हेलो स्टूडेंट्स। इट्स बीन क्वाइट फ्यू डेज जब आप लोगों ने मुझे बोला है इसका मॉलिक्यूलर ऑर्बिटल थ्योरी का वीडियो बनाने के लिए। बट आई स्टार्टेड इट, बट अगेन समथिंग हैपेंड, मैं उसको कंप्लीट नहीं कर पाया। आई नो कल आप लोगों का पेपर है, सो दिस इज़ फॉर यू ऑल। आई होप इस वीडियो से आप लोगों को काफ़ी हेल्प मिलेगा। सो दिस इज़ योर मेंटर घोष सर, एंड टुडे आई एम गोइंग टू डिस्कस मॉलिक्यूलर ऑर्बिटल थ्योरी, a very important segment of chemical bonding, right? अच्छा, नाउ आप लोगों ने क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स में क्वांटम नंबर्स एंड कई सारी चीजें आप लोगों ने स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ एटम के अंदर आप लोगों ने सीखा, राइट? नाउ क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स helps you understand structure of atom in a better, in a detailed manner. अब once you start understanding structure of atom, then you can now explore understanding of molecules, ठीक है, जिसकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग हमको पहले ठीक से नहीं थी। सो बेसिकली क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स के हेल्प से वी अंडरस्टैंड इलेक्ट्रॉन्स एंड सब्सिक्वेंटली द एटम्स, एंड वी अप्लाई दैट टू अंडरस्टैंड formation of molecules, their bond strength, geometry, what are the exceptions, why one molecule under similar conditions has got say A geometry, and under similar conditions another molecule is going to have a B geometry. So all these things can be well explained with the help of quantum mechanics and their application on atoms and on further molecules, right? अच्छा, आज की डेट में we use two different theories to understand especially your bonding in covalent molecules, right? So उसको समझने के लिए what we employ is, one is called VBT, valence bond theory, and MOT, molecular orbital theory. So right now I am focusing on molecular orbital theory as per your request. Now let's see what are the various aspects and understandings required for your molecular orbital theory. Now in ultimately in molecular orbital theory, what we are going to focus on is molecular orbital diagram. This is going to help us to fill the electrons in various molecular orbitals, which means it will talk about molecular electronic configuration. Electronic configuration. Now, the good part is that the rules that you learned to fill atomic orbitals, same rules are applicable for molecular orbitals also. कैसे? आपने atomic orbitals को भरने के लिए you learned about something called Aufbau principle, right? You learned about Hund's rule, and you also learned about your Pauli's exclusion principle, right? Now, Aufbau principle is based on the fact that ki lower energy orbitals are filled first, and then from there you slowly move on to the higher energy orbitals, subshells, everything. So it's like this. So lower one is filled, then the upper one, then the upper one. This is how we go about Aufbau principle, right? Acha. As far as Hund's rule is concerned, Hund's rule is based on the fact that until unless you fill all the same energy subshells, all the same energy orbitals of a same subshell with single electron, pairing cannot be done, right? So that means until unless you have got some say 3 orbitals like this, until unless you provide 1 electron each to them, and also with the same spin, all of top spin or all of down spin, pairing cannot start. Only when 3 electrons are given to 3 different orbitals, and then it will be pairing after that only. Pauli's exclusion principle, in one single orbital you cannot have more than 2 electrons. Okay, same concept we are going to use in molecular orbital diagrams also while filling the molecular electronic configuration. And with the help of the of this configuration, what do we expect to find? हम क्या निकालने की कोशिश करेंगे? इन सब के हेल्प से हम लोग निकालेंगे समथिंग कॉल्ड बॉन्ड ऑर्डर, राइट? नाउ बॉन्ड ऑर्डर से हमें क्या क्या, और बॉन्ड ऑर्डर है क्या चीज, हम इसके बारे में बात करते हैं, लेकिन थोड़ा सा आई एलाबोरेट ऑन योर व्हाट हैपेंस इन ऑर्बिटल थ्योरी इन टर्म्स ऑफ योर एटॉमिक ऑर्बिटल्स को क्या करते हैं, इसके बारे में हम लोग थोड़ा बात करते हैं. सी, इन वीबीटी you focus only on the valence shells, right, on the valence shell and subshells within it, and of course orbitals within it, and then you mix and merge, and ultimately we talk about hybrid orbitals. But everything is for valence shell only, so the inner shells are ignored, so we say that they stay as it is, right? But in case of molecular orbital theory, हम किसी को नहीं बख्शते, यानी starting from 1s every single subshell is made part of it. So you, from the first subshell to the last subshell, every single subshell from both the atoms will merge and give rise to a new orbital called your molecular orbital. ठीक है? So यहाँ पे mainly what you are doing is यहाँ पे in place of having different valence shells and different inner orbitals वाला concept, you have got all the same molecular orbitals. Along with that, यहाँ पे भी हम लोग conservation of energy को maintain करेंगे, and उसकी वजह से क्या होगा? If you maintain conservation of energy, your different orbitals are combining, right? And suppose दो का इनपुट होगा तो दो का ही आउटपुट आना चाहिए. वैलेंस शेल में भी आपका यही था. क्या था कि इफ फॉर एग्जांपल यू आर हैविंग sp3, सो sp3 करने के लिए 1s सबशेल and 3 ऑर्बिटल्स ऑफ p, इनको दैट मीन्स 4 का इनपुट है, तो आपको आउटपुट में भी ये 4 मिलेंगे. सो इनपुट इज इक्वल टू आउटपुट. Same goes at the molecular orbital theory concept also. So you have got like 1 plus 1, 2 atomic orbitals. So you mix them and you are going to get 2 molecular orbitals, right? अच्छा, so that means यहाँ पे भी आपका input is equal to output. But this time you are going to have 2 different type of molecular orbitals. One is like the constructive overlap, जो stability देता है, कम energy होता है उसके पास. We call them bonding molecular orbitals, and the one with the higher energy, they bring instability to the system, they are called anti-bonding molecular orbitals. So this is the difference, right? And also this concept comes from the fact that we are treating electrons like waves, and waves are represented, electronic waves are represented by something called wave functions. So what we mean here, suppose you have got 2 different electrons from 2 different atoms, right? So you are representing one by psi A and the other one by psi B. These are what? These are electronic wave functions, right? So when you are adding them and subtracting them, so what do we have got? If you write psi AB, it simply means psi A plus psi B. So it is something constructive. And if you write psi star AB, it is something destructive, so higher energy. So this comprises for wave function of anti-bonding molecular orbital. So it is psi A minus psi B, right? But you also know that wave function alone has no physical significance. So it is a square of the wave function that matters, psi square, क्योंकि वो आपको फिर probability density देता है. So it is not psi AB we are looking for, rather we are looking for psi square AB. This is what is giving us this one. And similarly, in this case also, we are looking for psi star AB ka square. So this is for the anti-bonding molecular orbitals. Fine. So with this, let us try to learn your molecular orbital diagram and what we expect by comparing various type of molecules. See, in molecular orbital diagram, what we want to find is something called bond order. Right? Now, what is bond order? When you are segregating the overall molecule, I mean the molecular orbitals as bonding, anti-bonding, bonding, anti-bonding. So what is going to happen? You have got certain electrons residing in molecular orbitals and other electrons residing in anti-bonding molecular orbitals. So it is something like this: half Nb minus Na, right? Half Nb minus A. This is what, this is your number of bonding electrons, this is number of anti-bonding electrons. So this is your bond order. Now bond order actually hai kya cheez? Now look into this. You have say two different atoms A and B. They may have a single bond, double bond, or a triple bond, right? Acha, remember that here we have got two different atoms forming a molecule. That means there is a heteroatomic molecule. But what you are going to deal here is only homoatomic molecule like H2, N2, C2, Br, your Cl2, Be2, right? Ne2. So all will be your homoatomic molecules. So when, if you see, it has got a bond multiplicity of 1, 2 and 3. This is what the bond order is. So single bond order is going to be 1, double bond order will be 2 and 3, something like this. So basically bond order is also explaining here the bond multiplicity. It is also explaining here the bond multiplicity. Acha. In addition to that, suppose you find out bond order about a certain molecular species, say in fractional terms, like half मिला या 1.5 हुआ या 2.5 हुआ, right? Something like this. So what happens here? This does not mean that you have got say 2.5. That means you have got 2 bond and 1 partial bond. ऐसा नहीं. It simply means this 2.5 bond order molecule is 2.5 times stronger than the single AB molecule. It is 2.5 times stronger than the single AB molecule, right? So this is how these this is how they are combining with each other, right? So that means what? This means here whenever you have got something like this or something like this, so don't take it literally as some this dotted bond structure is also there, some dotted bond is there. So we cannot explain that. It's only the strength that we are referring to with respect to single bond. So what does this bond order helps us in finding? And basically what we are going to find from your MOD. So things that we are going to look for is of course bond order, right? You are going to look for bond order, but with the help of it you are going to look for bond strength, right? You are going to look for bond stability, then bond length, we'll also find out exists or not, right? In addition to this, we are also going to find the magnetic behavior of the substance. So these are the various things we look to find with the help of molecular orbital diagrams and molecular orbital theory, right? So let's quickly get into your molecular orbital diagram and then we will be able to compare them. how bond stability, bond strength, bond length, they are going to vary. um well, about the first three, if I tell you, you see, higher the bond order, higher is going to be the bond multiplicity, which means more stability is going there. So therefore bond order can be said to be directly proportional to stability of the system. Along with that, it is also proportional to bond strength, right? So you can say that it is again directly proportional to bond enthalpy. Mm, and if strength is increasing, bond strength is increasing, bond multiplicity is increasing, that means two atoms are coming close to each other, they are coming close to each other. So that means if higher bond order is there, chances are that their bond length will be smaller, right? So you can do it over here, that it is inversely proportional to your bond length, right? It is inversely proportional to bond length, right? Okay, rest whether it will exist or not. Now if the bond order is 0 or it comes out to be negative, in either case your molecule will not exist, right? Okay, what about the magnetic behavior? So in magnetic behavior we have got two types of substances, one which are called paramagnetic and others which are called diamagnetic, right? Paramagnetic and diamagnetic. Now paramagnetic on the are the ones where you have got unpaired electrons, and diamagnetic are the ones where none of the unpaired electrons are there. That means all the orbitals I have got, molecular orbitals I have got paired electrons. Fine. And diamagnetic substances are your weakly repelling towards magnetic field, right? And paramagnetic substances are weakly attracting towards magnetic field, right? So now this was the background of the whole molecular orbital theory. Now let's talk about the molecular orbital diagrams. See, remember that when you talk about BOD, your MOD as such, molecular orbital diagram as such, we are going to have two types of systems. One, where the number of protons of the molecular system, not of this individual atom, of the molecular system, you have got the number of protons less than or equal to 14, and the ones where you have got molecular or your number of protons greater than 14. So two different categories, less than equal to 14, the other one is greater than 14. So if this is the case, then some of the examples are like H2, है ना? B2, C2, N2, right? So all of them have got number of protons in their molecular system equal to or less than 14. And on the other hand side, it is like O2, F2, Ne2, something like this, right? Okay. Now There are subtle differences that we'll learn right now. So let us talk about H2 first. When you are merging both 1s atomic orbitals and 2s atomic orbitals, so the diagram of both 1s and 2s is similar. And also remember, as I had told, number of input is equal to number of output. So if I have got 1s and 1s from somewhere, so two atomic orbitals are there, then you are going to have two molecular orbitals also, sigma 1s, sigma star 1s, something like this, right? And 2s also is in a similar condition, that is 2s, 2s, so it is sigma 2s, and the higher one anti-bonding molecular orbital is sigma star 2s. Okay, so this is your atomic orbital of some atom, atomic orbital of the same atom, I mean of another atom of the same element, right? And these are the respective molecular orbitals. Fine. So now if it is hydrogen, so you may be asked to compare three species like H2, H2 plus and H2 minus, right? So how you are going to fill it? So H2 means one electron on 1s and the electron on another 1s of the other atom. So two electrons are there, and while filling the molecular orbital molecular orbitals, you are going to follow all those as we have discussed: Aufbau rule, your Hund's rule, and your Pauli's exclusion principle. So first two electrons will come in the first one, the other one is kept empty. So what is the bond order now? So there is nothing in the anti-bonding part, so bond order for this comes out to be half number of bonding electrons, which is 2, minus number of anti-bonding electrons, which is none, so hence 0, and is 1. And we all know that hydrogen exists like HH. So there is bond order of 1 and it validates it, right? Now had it been H2 plus, that means remove one of the electrons. It can be either from the left one or the right one, doesn't matter. So if you remove one electron from here, the other one is gone from here also. So what's the bond order now? So the bond order comes out to be, for H2 plus, it is only one electron, so half into 1 minus 0, which is half. And for H2 minus, you need to have one extra electron. You can see there is one extra electron, so 3 electrons are there. So 2 comes into the sigma 1s. So now for the first time your anti-bonding electron is put, right? So you can see that here it is half into 2 minus 1. So again half, right? So bond order, as per the bond order, we have got one bond order 1 for hydrogen, and for other two it is going to be half each, right? So bond order is hydrogen maximum, then comes both these, right? Bond strength, of course, hydrogen having highest bond order has the highest strength, right? And stability is maximum for again hydrogen, rest other two are kind of variable, right? Bond enthalpy is highest for this. Bond length will be in inverse, that means bond length is lowest for H2 and then it is bigger for both H2 and H2 minus. Now as far as the magnetic behavior is concerned, I told you that if you have got odd number of, just think about it, if you have got odd number of electrons, then it is always it is paramagnetic, right? See, that means in paramagnetic you have got at least one unpaired electron, and which can happen in odd numbered of electrons, right? Total electrons. So H2 and H2 minus both are paramagnetic, and H2 has 2 electrons, right? H2 means what? Only 2 electrons, both at sigma 1s, so it has got diamagnetic. Sorry, right? So this is how the picture is. Now if you have say another a molecule, say eh, let us talk about helium, whether it is going to exist or not. So if you take He2, so then you have got like 2 electrons on both, so 1s2 and 1s2 on the other side, which means one more electron over here. Now if I ask you to find the bond order, so what is bond order for helium 2? It is half 2 minus 2, which is 0. So if this is what we had discussed, any molecule with a bond order of 2 bond order of 0 or minus does not exist. So helium 2 hypothetically yes, but in reality it does not exist. So dimer dimer cannot be there, right? Now let us go for a molecule where your P is involved. Say let us talk about uh, carbon. So in carbon you are first going to have the respective 1s. So you have got 1s here, 1s here. It's one atomic orbital, it is another atomic orbital. So you have got 2s also like this. So you have got sigma 1s, sigma star 1s, 2s, 2s, sigma 2s, sigma star 2s, and you have got 3p. 3p, I mean 3 orbitals of p. So it is 2p, 2p. Now look carefully. I told you that there is one type of molecular orbital diagram till atomic number 14, or number of protons if it is 14, right? Not and so till there carbon has got 12 protons. So till there what happens, you have got lower energy of pi 2px and pi 2py, while sigma 2pz has got higher energy. As antibonding orbitals also show the same thing, that is pi star 2p x, pi star 2p y, and sigma star 2p z. Now let us talk about what happens with C2. So you have got C2 is what? 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. Right? So what you are going to have here? And 2p of course. So you can see that 2 electrons here, upper part, again 2 electrons, 2 electrons here. Now for 2p electrons, look carefully. Till sigma star 2s, all of them are filled. That's fine. But now 1 electron each, which is Hund's rule, and then only pairing is going to start. And Aufbau rule also, until unless these two sigma 2px and sigma 2py are filled, you are not going to the next level, which is sigma p 2pz. So this is the electronic molecular configuration of C2 molecule, right? So what is the bond order, by the way? Is half. So 4 electrons here and 6 there, that means 10 minus, right? So 10 minus, you have got No, this is anti-bonding, right? So you have got 4 on the anti-bonding, that's all right, and 6 to 8. So 8 here and 4 here. So that means you have got 4 by 2, which is bonding order of 2, right? And now if you talk about C2 plus, what is going to happen in C2 plus? In that, again you have to remove one electron from either of the two carbons, say this one, and also one electron from here you have to remove. So that means now 13 electrons are left. So 13 electrons means, and one is removed from the bonding orbital only, right? It is gone from the bonding orbital only. So basically you have got 7 minus 4. So bond order of C2 plus is equal to 7 minus 4, that is 3 by 2. Similarly, bond order of C2 minus is going to be, you are going to have one more electron and you can put it here, is empty. So for C2 minus you have got 13 electrons, that is 9 minus 4, right? So when it is 9 minus 4, that is 5 by 2. Fine. So now you know the bond order. So if you talk about stability, maximum stability is with this, followed by that of C2 and then by C2 plus, right? Bond length will be inverse of this. ठीक है, bond length में maximum length is of C2 plus followed by C2 followed by C2 minus. This is for carbon. Fine. So for carbon, I guess this is clear, and you can also see that as far as C2 plus and C2 minus is concerned, it is paramagnetic. Why? Because there is one unpaired electron. But if you talk about C2, it is diamagnetic because there is no unpaired electron in that case, right? Acha. Now if you go beyond nitrogen, that is go beyond protons more than 14, we have got a different picture. So for example, if you take O2, in O2 till sigma star 2s, everything is same. What changes is the 2p part. How? If you focus on that only, in case of oxygen, there's 2p. So this time sigma goes further down. The sigma 2p is it? 2px and 2py, and on the other side same thing as it was earlier, pi star 2px and sigma 2pz, right? So O2 means your 8 electrons on each side. There is oxygen atomic orbital. What I have done, I have not drawn your 2s and 1s, which is similar to previous one. So I presume after you make those, then only you are going to write this one. And here you have got O2 molecular orbital. So basically you have 1s2, for oxygen atom it is 1s2, 2s2, 2p4, right? 8 electrons. So p4, let's do that. First singly occupy and then pairing. Singly occupy and then pairing. So you have got 8 electrons, and if you have to adjust 8 electrons, first 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 6 is gone, 1 each is left. Now you can see that, as we had discussed earlier, ki if it is odd number of total electrons, it is always paramagnetic. But if it is even number of total electrons, it may or may not be paramagnetic. Right now you can see that despite having in total 16 electrons, it is still paramagnetic. Why? Because there are 2 unpaired electrons. So sometimes they may ask you justify O2 is paramagnetic in nature. So this is how it can be justified. Right now, if had it been O2 plus, then 1 electron would have gone from here and 1 from either of the 2 oxygens. So then automatically it is an 15 electron system, but it is still paramagnetic, right? And what is going to be the bond order here? In case of O2, it is half, 4 electrons earlier, 10 electrons now. So this is your 10 minus 6, which is 4 by 2, which is 2, and we know that it is O double bond O. So bond order is 2 for oxygen molecule. For O2 plus, 1 electron won't be there, but it will go from the anti-bonding. So it should become 10 minus 5. So O2 plus is 2.5. O2 minus, so one pairing will take place here. O2 minus means one more anti-bonding orbital and one more electron in the anti-bonding orbital. So therefore one extra will come here only. Fine. So it is now 10 minus 7. So it is then 3 by 2. Right. This is how it is going to work. Fine. I hope this much is totally clear to you. Okay. Acha. And all of them are paramagnetic. This is also justified here. In the similar fashion, we can go for fluorine molecules, F2, F2 minus, F2 plus, and neon also in exactly the same fashion, right? So I hope molecular orbital theory is quite clear to you now. What we are trying to explain with the help of this bond order, we are explaining, with the help of bond order, bond length, bond stability, right? Bond enthalpy is explained. Also along with that, we are explaining here their magnetic behavior. If even one single unpaired electron is there, it is going to become paramagnetic. If none of the unpaired electrons are there, it is going to become diamagnetic, right? So I hope molecular orbital theory is clear to you guys, right? Hope you enjoyed the learning despite being quite late, and of course thanks for watching. Any more doubts, let me know, right? Thank you.